As usual, I'd like to thank everyone for posting their questions and making this video possible. Let's begin. Can a made member buy himself out of the mob completely or choose retirement? The answer is no. However, there are guys that are inactive and considered retired in good standing. This person also wants to know if the blood oath is for life. My answer is also yes. And although I view the oath for life, that's based on as long as everything you're told remains true. Put it this way, if you go for a new job and they tell you a lot of things that inspire you, including the rules, but as time goes by, you realize everything they told you is the complete opposite of their actions. Would you remain loyal to that company? If the boss of a family wants to straighten someone out, does he have to get the administration's approval, or does it automatically happen? First, for those not familiar with the term straightened out, it means when you're inducting someone into a family. And a boss can do as he pleases. If he discusses it with his administration prior to inducting someone, it's strictly a courtesy. Regarding members who are inactive or on the shelf, would it surprise you if members in their life leak this type of information to potentially get off the radar or from being watched or followed? The problem with that sort of strategy is, yes, if he leaks it somehow, you'll turn on YouTube and see 17 videos about it, breaking news, word on the street, etc. However, the FBI will know in the matter of a day if it's in fact true or just disinformation. Can a boss order or permit the assault of a member for violating the rules? The short answer is yes, but there are a lot of factors involved. Typically, the member would first be shelved. Tell us why Ernie Grillo was shelved from the Gambinos when you were hanging out with him. And what do you think about the ILA situation? Do you know if the Luccheses are involved with the docs? As far as Ernie goes, I never asked the reason. I have an idea, but I'm not going to share it based on an assumption. The ILA situation is somewhat settled as the strike has been suspended, and I believe they're getting about a 62% raise over a 6-year period, which is a lot. They're back to work, so all you people who've been buying all the toilet paper and water at Costco, calm down. I'm not sure about the Lucchese's involvement. All the families always had some kind of interest at the docks. This next person wants to know about how money is kicked up during and after a family enters an internal war. I wouldn't be able to accurately answer that question because I've never been in that situation. Do you think Matty Madonna could have made a move against Vic to take the boss position from him during the early 2010s, such as 2013? Of course, Matty could have tried to pull that off. And had he wouldn't be sitting in a cell right now, but would be in a cemetery instead. In a video a while back, someone from the West Side told you something along the lines of, Barney's our guy. While we know the Genovese is always moving people around, who were the other guys up there during your time? Barney has led the family for about 3 decades now and continues to do so. I really didn't pay too much attention back then to who they had in positions because I didn't have too many dealings with them. Do you know of any made men or associates that were involved in forgery or making fake money? Not during my time. I remember when I was in my teens, there was a lot of counterfeit money being passed around. How old was the guy AJ that you had around you? At the time, I believe he was in his late 20s or early 30s, but I'm not sure as to his exact age. How long ahead of time do you have to wait before the ceremony you know you're about to be made? To start with, the ceremony you speak of is not some casual thing. It's serious. And there's no time limit or expectation. When the powers that be in that life want you, you'll know it at the time. I think that some people, understandably, don't comprehend the significance of that ceremony. What's your opinion of Anthony Barada? Well, considering that I only met him once when we were having dinner at Rayo's, I didn't form any opinions of him. Many guys I've dealt with all liked him. Thomas D'Ambrosio, for one, would always speak very highly of him. Bawat was taken off the shelf following the family's transition. Prior to that, there was a lot of controversy. For instance, Stevie Crea hated him, which many guys felt was more of a jealousy issue. And he even went out of his way when Bawat was put on the shelf to prevent him from having access to a table at Rayo's. But as I mentioned, I've only heard good things about Bawat. Can Mikey DeSantis shelf someone, or does he have to get permission from a Musso? As an acting boss, he has to deal with the day-to-day ongoings of the family. And with that said, he can shelf someone without going to Vic, with the exception of Joey DiBenedetto. Any stories of civilians getting revenge on the mob? Years ago, there were guys killed here and there where someone, possibly a civilian, exacted revenge. There's also instances where civilians assaulted members and lived to talk about it. Like, for example, when Bubsy opened his mouth and got cracked in the face for it. So the answer is yes, it can happen. Do a lot of guys in their life pay attention to politics? And do you think they tend to lean more left or right? Yes, a lot of guys are into and discuss politics, and most lean towards the right. Do you speak Italian? Did you understand what Matty Madonna said during your induction? I can understand more than I could speak, if that makes any sense, although my Italian has improved. And I did understand what Matty was saying, which will remain with Matty and those of us present that day. Many mob pundits refer to Teddy Persico as the boss in waiting, with the implication that he will take the boss position when he's released from prison. Given his uncle Carmine and father are dead, and his cousin is in prison for life, would he have a realistic claim? Would the Colombo family be under obligation to honor Carmine's wishes? I believe if not for his recent case, Teddy Persico, once off paper, would have took the official boss position. The Colombo family took some heavy losses. Teddy's still young, he's been around, is well-liked, and more importantly, he's a Persico. So I believe it's a safe bet to say he'll eventually be the boss. Recently, the Cavalcante member James Castaldo passed away. His obituary lists an in-law as Michael DeSantis. Would you be able to clarify if this is the Lucchese member? I found the obituary you're referring to, and I don't believe Mikey's wife's name is Camille, which is alongside the Michael DeSantis mentioned in the obituary. How does one get word out if they want to start up something like loan sharking or a gambling spot? Are there strategies to marketing on the street? You definitely don't want to start making announcements. A gambling spot's marketing will be through word of mouth, and loan sharking as well. But loan sharking is a tricky business with many pitfalls. Anytime you lend someone money, problems will take place. How did you find the transition when you were released from prison? What was the most challenging or unexpected element of it after being away for so long? The transition for me wasn't too difficult. Naturally, I had to learn things like using a cell phone or the computer. One time I was taking the train in the city and asked a black woman where I could buy a token. I remember she pulled me to the side and said, "When did you get out?" I told her like a week earlier, and she let me know they no longer were using tokens. So small things like that, I had to learn. The most difficult challenge for me was going from being a dad in prison to a dad at home. At the time, I only had my older kids. My son was 19 and my daughter was 12 when I got out. So to step into the role of authority was not an easy task. It's probably why they chose not to live with me, despite my many offers. Presently, they're both adults, and we get along just fine now that I can't tell them what to do. Please remember to like this video if you haven't already, as it helps with the algorithm. And for anyone that wants to show their appreciation, or more crucially, help take a stand against the sabotaging of this podcast, you can do so by the Super Thanks icon down below, or the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. And thank you. And for the final question, Gaspipe said being a mobster is better than being a Hollywood movie star. How true is that? It's a funny quote, and anyone who's been a member or is a member of that life would agree with Gaspipe. I guess the best way to describe it is there were times when we were in the same place, Rayos for instance, with movie stars. They were in awe of us, not the other way around. And we were treated with more respect and regard than any movie star. But despite all of that, I can honestly say I wouldn't trade my life now for the one I once had.